everyone. Welcome to an awesome day of FileMaker video training. I'm creator of fmtrain.tv. I am Rich Carlton here with my awesome crew of people who help put on this daily live stream. For those of you who know about my side life, which is kind of questionable and marginally ethical, just kidding. So it's coming towards the end of fire season, maybe not in California, but definitely where I fly up in Montana. I'm currently at the McClelland air tanker base here near Sacramento, California, and wrapping up my 12-day shift, and then I'll be off duty or available to come bother all of you much more so tomorrow. So real quick, today's topic. So we've had Kevin on the show previously. Kevin Frank runs this website called FileMaker Hacks. A lot of people build websites and do things, and they really don't have a great idea how hard work it is. And Kevin keeps his website up to date and is constantly building new content. So it's a great website. It talks about a lot of different ideas and tips and tricks, and I highly recommend it. So we have him on the show to discuss his current iteration of tips and tricks and to run us through that. And all of you should visit his website and tell him how much you love him. And definitely feel free to shower him with love and affection and bricks and bars of gold. That would be great. That way he feels loved. So with that in mind, I'm going to let you guys go. All right, Margaret, take it over.
All right. Or rather, I guess more Kevin take it over. Hello, Kevin. What are we doing today?
Well, I guess I'll just dive right in. So I've just got a few slides. Don't be alarmed, folks. That's the FileMaker hacks, tips, tricks, and traps. So when Richard reached out to me, he said, you can just regurgitate your blog. You don't need to actually do anything new. And so I thought, well, that doesn't sound like much fun. And it's been a while since I did a tips and tricks post. So I thought I'll do a combination. I'll do some of what I think are some of the best tips from the past, and then share some things that haven't shared before. And also just look at a few recent demo files I built. Some of these have been shared, some of them haven't. So just sort of a grab bag. Ideally, something for everybody today. And so who am I? Kevin Frank, 30 years full-time experience as a FileMaker developer. I'm a technical lead on the Codance Genesis Transactions product. And I have this blog, and it's been around for 15 years now.
Yes.
There you go. So I've got just a few goals for today's. So fast-paced, no long-winded code explanations. But the good news is if you want a code explanation, you're going to get either a pointer to an article, or all the demo files I show today will be available. So anything you see, you can download and pull apart for yourself. So yeah,
excellent.
So something for everyone. If I do my job right, everybody leaves today's session with a few new tips and tricks. And also a few new things to watch out for, traps, aka. So yeah, all killer, no filler. Let's have fun and let's get started. Okay. So right now it's the current article on FileMakerHacks.com, but later if you come back here, just put tag LiveStream and you'll get a resource page for today's presentation.
Excellent.
Well, I thought I'd go way back in time actually for starters and show generating sample data. So this is something I built more than 10 years ago, and sorry about all the mess.
No, you're good.
Hide a few things. Okay, we'll get to this other stuff soon. So let's just say this. Have you ever wanted to make sample data and you wanted to use maybe some of your own data as a starting point? This isn't the kind of thing you're going to throw out to ChatGPT and say, hey, make me 10,000 fake invoices. Right?
No.
You could, right? But it wouldn't be with your data. Or you might give it your data, but you'd still have to put it together and do some work, right? So let's say here, it's funny, but I use this as a teaching tool more than anything else when I want to just give people a sense of FileMaker relationships and the model and just sort of normal forms, 101. And so we got customers, they're linked to invoices, your standard primary to foreign key relationship. Line items is a join between products and invoices, right? And if we jump over here to products, we can see I've got more than 6,000 wine products. And so then the idea is, okay, I want to make some fake invoices. And And I'm going to clear these out so you can really see that I'm doing it, how long it takes to make them. And by the way, do you raise your hand if you use truncate table?
I do not. I'm a little scared of it.
So truncate table is really fast, but it has two things to be aware of. One is it doesn't care about your deletion dependencies in your relationships. So it's specifically, I might have a thing in here that says if I delete an invoice,
Mm-hmm.
go over here and also delete my related line items.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. Truncate table doesn't care at all about that. So that's why I've got two truncate table scripts we're about to run. The
Oh.
thing is, it requires full access privileges. So that's fine. I'm logged in as developer with full access.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to put it in a script and you've got users who presumably are in your system without full access, then you want to come over here and you want to grant full access privileges to the script if you're going to call it.
Got
Right? You would not, by the way, you wouldn't normally have been hanging out on the script like I do, where oh, what does this do? Right? We'll find out, and then my phone will be ringing, right? Okay, so normally we wouldn't have that available, but for demo purposes, I have it available. One nice thing with test data, who cares if you screw it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're going to truncate the invoice table, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Line items are still there, even though we had the deletion dependency. So I just wanted to call that out. But now that's gone also. I've still got my customers, I've still got my products.
Okay.
So we're going to generate, right? And I can come over here, and so I'm going to say, go through my customers and randomly pick anywhere between, say, 15 and 30 of them. And for each of them, create between 4 and 8. Oh, let's just use our example data. Okay. In this case, I know I want to do 20 customers. So I'm going to put the same as from and to, right? So I'm saying 20 customers, right? Give them a random number of invoices between 4 and 8. Date them between these two dates. Put between 5 and 25 line items on each invoice. And those line items must fall in the range of this price. And then set the quantity to between 1 and 24. Proceed. Okay, so yeah, so now we have 120 invoices we can play with, right? And highly, highly crafted to our terms. Now, how did I do that? I'm not going to get into it, as promised, a long-winded code in explanation. But what I do want to call out is this amazing custom function. And it came from the folks at Six Fried Rice back in 2009. And they've since pulled down their blog, but you can still find it with the internet way back machine. Right. So in fact, by the way, I think if we go to, yeah, right. So here we are. Here's this. Oh, by the way, this resource page, this is the resource page I mentioned at the beginning. I'm going to flesh this out a bunch. Obviously, once it's up on YouTube, this will be populated. Put all the demo files here, but I'm also going to expand this because there's lots of things that aren't here yet that need to be, and possibly a few things I'll take off because I don't get to talk about them today. But if we go over to this article called Generating Sample Data, I've got the link to the original Six Fried Rice, and since it's no longer active, I've pointed to the web archive version. So when we click on it, it goes to archive.org.
Nice.
So you can read, it takes a little while to load, but it is coming. Okay, so you can see it's still, there it goes, right? So you can see, oh, from 2007. So this amazing custom function written 18 years ago. And I use it all the time, not just for this, but for lots of things where I want some randomization within defined boundaries. So we'll see another appearance of that, but I did want to bring that up. And the other thing I want to do is I think there's one or two other things we could say about this demo. So I was just going to look and see if anything else popped out at me while we're here talking. Well, we can always come back to it if it occurs to me because I don't seem to see it at the moment. Okay, I've got about 50 index cards here. And in theory, I was going to very carefully order them before this presentation. But then I thought, you know, let's just let's just apply randomization and let them come up as they will. So so that's that. But yeah, I end up using some variation on this from time to time. In some cases, of course, just to prepare demos.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that as far as that goes. So if we come back over here and let's let's look at something really recent. So we got some really interesting new things in FileMaker 22. And
Yes.
one of them certainly, let's do a show all records, right? One of them is we now can get the internal IDs in 5 different ways for a found set of records.
Yes.
And not only can we get them, but we can do things with them. Okay. So my preference is for version 3. If you ever pulled apart a snapshot link to see what was going on under the hood, you
Mm-hmm.
will recognize this, because what it's doing is it's saying, I don't need to enumerate each internal ID if they're contiguous. I can grab them as a range, and that's much more efficient. It's more efficient in many levels, but
Mm-hmm.
we also can restore that. So there are 2 functions. One's called, I call it GRIFs, get record IDs for found set. It has a companion script step. All right. So go to list of records. Okay. So here, so let's as an example. Oh, and I'm going to just digress sometimes and show a separate little tip, because it's like, hey, we're already here, and this would be a good place to do it. The whole world knows by now, right, that you can right click inside a field and say find matching or constrain, right? Find match.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know you can select a portion, and when you right click on that, you will then find just on what you highlighted.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
What?
Now, like here's all our cities, right? Everything that had city in it, because I started by clicking on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I assumed it would
No,
always look at the whole field, not what you're highlighting.
no, I
Okay.
blundered into it by accident, actually. Like one day, oh, what would happen if we tried this? And it worked, right? So then, oh, by the way, I don't need to have record ID actually defined and listed here, just
Mm-hmm.
for a teaching tool to help make it clearer what's going on.
Yeah.
Oh, except I'm separated. Let's go to the data file. Okay. Oh, where is it? It's over here. Why is it in parentheses, Margaret?
Because it's hidden. It's not a active window. You have to actually like focus on it. It's hidden in the background, right?
It's hidden and it's never drawn a window. Its startup script hasn't run.
Mm-hmm.
So as an example, right? If I bring it foreground and now I proactively hide it,
Mm-hmm.
now it doesn't,
Oh,
because it's run its startup script. So it's now sort of been explicitly opened, whereas before it was only implicitly open.
that's the word.
So that's part of the power of FileMaker, right? Is that it takes care of stuff like that for us. But FYI,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we've got this data file, right? And that's sitting over here, right? And I'll point out, if we were to look at the relationship, if we were to look at managed database, there's no tables.
Mm-hmm.
And on my graph, of course, these things are italicized, right? Because they're external. So yeah. So now I'm going, oh, so this record ID, I digressed for a second. I do not need to define this in the database. I chose to do it just as a teaching tool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything I'm showing here would work just as well if this field didn't exist, right?
Got it.
This
Yes.
is FileMaker's internal record ID, which is guaranteed unique within a given file, but from
Yes.
within a given table within a given file, right? It's just a simple serial number, right? So as long as it's unique within the table, that's all it needs to be. And so we can use that to get and restore found sets, right? So I'm going to jump from my interface file to the data file, right? By saying, go to the list of records in the data file, right? So right now, I've got all my records showing, but here I've got this, and for fun, let's sort it by zip code while we're at it, okay? Okay, so now we're sorted, and it was fast, but this changed. Okay.
Yes.
So let's sort by record ID just for a sec, because then we can maybe see a range. We not see
Oh, there's one. Yeah.
right? So right. Whereas when we were unsorted, right, it had then when we were unsorted and we were showing all. Oh, I guess well, let's sort by record ID just to, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Right. The unsorted is still the creation order. So this would naturally be a serial number, though there might be gaps if we deleted a record. It doesn't ever reuse them. They will get reset if you clone So if you clone, don't count on getting back the same IDs later after you import. Say you cloned
Got it.
and then you imported, right? You will not get the same record, the same internal IDs as before.
I assume, what if you copied the file?
I think you're gonna be fine there. I think you'll be perfectly fine as long as you don't do something weird like cloning. Okay. So okay. So at any rate, I had said something like, let's I mean I can recreate that found set very quickly, right? With city.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so something like that, and then just for fun, let's sort it. I will sort by city this time. Okay. By the way, Ocean City, Maryland, and New Jersey, right? Because that little place is right on the border. I'm
Ooh.
originally from Maryland, and we Marylanders are intensely proud of the fact that we have 10 miles of coastline on the Atlantic. Right between, right? So that's yeah. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna take that back. That's not a border town, right? Forget it. Pretend I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I've been away for almost 50 years, so but never mind. I did not say that, just erase that. Edit that out. Okay, here we are, right? And so now
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna run the script and we're gonna jump over to the data file and notice same found count, right? Same apparent sort order. Note me hedging my bets by saying apparent. In the same sequence. Okay, it's in the same record ID sequence, but if I press Command S or Control S over here, because I'm on Windows, it's Control, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at this, what the heck, right? That's what it shows you when you do that, because it didn't really sort it by the field that my source, it doesn't know about my sort order over here, right?
Oh, so it doesn't
All
understand what you're sorting by, it just understands a list of record IDs.
Right. So behind the scenes, right? If we look at the definition of say Griff's 3,
Mm-hmm.
we could just as easily throw it in the data viewer, but oh, of course, but guess what? Kevin's separated, so it's over here, right? If we look at the definition of what am I doing wrong? There it is. Griff's 3, right? Get record IDs from found set, and the argument is 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
It takes yeah, it takes 1 through 5. Okay. Oh no, 0 through 4. Okay. And then, so that's what I was using. And then what was the script doing? What the script was doing was going, script, right? So it said, hey, grab those record IDs from the found set, pass that
Mm-hmm.
over as a parameter and pass it to the script over there in the data file. So then the data file said, okay, right? What am I doing? Go to list of records, right? It gets the parameter and it acts on it. Okay. And I actually, oh, one other thing is cool is I was able to tell it what layout to go to. So if I had several different layouts, I could have told the script, look, I don't care where you started from. When you get over to data, right? Because I probably don't have the same layouts in the data file that I have in the interface file.
No.
So there it is. Right. So that's some interesting stuff that's new. And
Yes.
something I think, you know what I'll do is I think I'll maybe just bang through a couple things that are new. And one thing, just in preparation for this presentation yesterday, I blundered into and I went, oh, do you ever see like there's some weird checkbox and you're like, that's just a bunch of noise. I'm just going to ignore that checkbox,
Yeah,
right?
I do that more than I should.
It couldn't possibly be important. I never have needed it before. I think I'll just leave it unchecked. We're going to get into those in just a second. Before we do, let me see if I already have this open. No, of course, I've got 50 things open, but the one I want is not open. The one I want is, let's see. Hey, I've got a great idea. Is it really possible I'm not showing it? Oh, I know where it is. We're almost there. I know we're going to find it. Aha! The JSON parse sandbox. Okay. So I had this routine. Don't worry, this is not a long-winded code explanation. I needed to go through this JSON for this stuff called JSON LD. And I wanted to just build an array of just the entries that were in the schema.
Mm-hmm.
I have a thing called schema right there. See? Right?
Yeah.
I wanted to grab that. Like notice schema discontinued was going to be the first item here. By the way, I held address 0 open so I could put how long it took. So back in FileMaker 21,
Mm-hmm.
3 minutes to iterate here. I know it's crazy. It did though. One of the reasons was I was cache busting. I kept popping back and forth between different JSON things, so it never could take advantage of the of any, because there was only one JSON cache before.
Oh.
And then I ran the same thing, no change whatsoever, same code, right? Everything exactly the same in 22. And it took still about a minute. But the point being, notice that's right. That's a significant performance boost without having to do anything. Okay. Now here on record 3, we're just gonna make one little change. Here's record 2 again. The input was sandbox, which is this guy down here.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're gonna use this new JSON parse feature. That's the only thing that's different.
Okay.
Okay. Everything else is the same. On your mark, get set, go. 2/3 of the second. Yeah. So I think a lot of us are still sort of figuring out, when should I use it, when shouldn't I? Basically, if you've already processed your JSON through a JSON function, it's probably already been parsed. But when in doubt, go ahead and use it. Like in this case, it hadn't been parsed, right? It was just sitting here in a field. Well, FileMaker's like, okay, you told me that there's sandbox, and eventually you started doing JSON-like things with it, but I didn't know it was JSON, right? So I had to tell it. As soon as I told it, then we got the massive performance boost. Let's see.
That's
It's
nuts.
incredibly cool.
Oh, it's faster.
Yeah. Okay. So that's something that's pretty cool in 22.
Yes.
And yeah, and then what's that one new thing I just found that was very interesting? Let's see if I can recall it. It had to do I'll tell you what, while we're waiting, let's do some other things, and I'll eventually come across it. So I'm going to set aside the ones I've already done so I don't talk about them over and over again. Yeah. So this was kind of interesting, right? Okay. So here we've got a number, right? I've got the length of this this JSON sitting here.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to, so here and clear, just checking with the length. And I'm thinking to myself, this is a text field, and I might be using this in, embedding this in a document or a message I'm emailing. You've exceeded your quota, right? But I want to format that thing, excuse me.
No, you're good.
Format that thing. Sorry, I was just picking up the card I dropped, as a, with 1,000 separators.
Ooh,
Right?
that'd be nice.
This is the one thing I did show last time, but I think it's such a cool trick that I want to show it again. Okay, so I'm going to use num to JText, which, as you might imagine, is a Japanese function. But it turns out it's got a side benefit. Okay, right, and so let's be clear, this is not if this were number formatting, if this were a number field, right, we could just format it to show operators, right? But that's not what's going on here. This is a text field, right? And so, the other nice, we might say, well, Kevin, since you knew that the number was going to in the 100,000s, why didn't you just place the comma, right? But I didn't know the number. This is right. Let's assume arbitrary length. So, for instance, if I multiply this by a big number, see how it just took care of that for me?
So you don't have to pre-plan for it. You can just say, if it'll be in the thousands, it'll automatically add commas.
Right. So, because this happens, right? We're writing some routine, and maybe we're going to generate an email, and we're going to say, your outstanding balance of, $23 billion. Please submit it by tomorrow. Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to share that idea because I think it's a pretty cool one.
That's really cool. I would never have thought to go look at that one. I remember you mentioning it last time, but before that, it would never have occurred to me to go use that function for that.
No, somebody probably pointed out to me 20 years ago, and it's been around for a long time. And let's see. Oh, okay, this is kind of interesting, right? Is that we all know we have a set variable script step, right? But sometimes we want to just play in the data viewer and not have to write a script just to load a variable, right? So we can declare a variable like this with let. So we can, if we put the $sign here, I'm going to refresh, and no surprise, we don't see anything because the output was empty on my let. But if we come over here and look in the data viewer, there it is, okay? Now, while it's here, I'm going to copy it, okay? I'm going to put it in my clipboard. Okay, I've got it. So then the question becomes, could we do this when it's in the clipboard. I mean, sure, it was nice. It was already in a text field, but maybe by then the problem was already solved for us, right? So could we instead, so it's sitting in my clipboard, right? I just put all this JSON, right? So if I instead come over here and say, and let's give it a different name, right? Sorry, it suddenly got really sluggish. This is not what you want to have happen during a demo. Aha, I had left that up on the screen. There we go. We're back in business. Okay. Yeah, sorry, I was just checking to see if I had multiple versions of FileMaker open. That can happen sometimes, right? The data gets open, and then in Windows, you can put the focus off of it. Okay, so we come back over here, and now we're going to say this other var. And this time, I'm going to say, I just need to do something. I need to create a var. So I'm going to make this other var, and I'm going to call it 1. We're still not going to see anything down here. Come over here to the data viewer. Right now, over here on the current tab, we can see this other bar, right? Oh, surprise, it has 1. But I can change that, right? So if I paste, there's just one problem, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this I'm not going to demo because I think it's been well demoed by lots of people. But if you write an insert text script step, if you use the insert text script step in 22 or later, it now can take 250 million characters. This was done because it helped facilitate something with AI. So I can't do that. But a lot of times you don't have that much text in your clipboard, right? You just have a small amount. So say I grab that. Now I can jump over here. And just the point is, once you have a variable that's been declared, you can change it within reason, right? Now, why would I want to do that? Oh, and let's see. Let's make it valid JSON, right? So formatting. There we go. Okay. Why we might want to do this is, look, we've already got all these quotes over this. JSON's already good to go. I don't want to have to go through and escape all those quotes, or I don't want to have to do JSON set element and rebuild all this, right? So sometimes we've already got what we want, and it's already correct. It's already correctly formatted. It doesn't need to be run, right? So just in case that isn't clear, right? If I were to come over here and just say, well, here, we could just do this in the data viewer. If I were just to come over here and say, here, use this JSON, and I put this here, right? See, it doesn't like it, right? Because it's not quote escaped, right? I'd have to come. So that's the problem we're avoiding, right? So with a small enough amount, I can paste it. Otherwise, I would come and I would write the script, right? So, I say insert text. Oh, I forgot I'd done more of this than I thought. So if I come over here and I say script, and now I say insert text example. So, and it's going to be inserted text. Here, I can remember how we saw that you can't exceed 30,000 characters a minute ago. Now, let me I've got a clipboard manager. So let's go back to a previous entry. By the way, to me, a clipboard manager is an essential thing to have. And there's a free one. I think there's a ton of free ones. There's a ton of ones you can pay for. Some you're supposed to subscribe to. I don't like that. So I'm using Ditto. I'm using a venerable one called Ditto on Windows, and I'm using one on the Mac called Jump Cut.
Jump Cut, huh? Okay.
Anyway, so now that I've got this, right, and I've inserted it, and here's a nuance to that. If you set up an insert text in FileMaker 22, you can run that script and it will run just fine in earlier versions of FileMaker. What you can't do, though, is go back and edit it.
Okay.
Right? So, yeah. So, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we're going to eventually see that 30,000 limit go away everywhere.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
We do bump up against it. Yeah. So that was something. And then let's actually go back there because there's plenty more things to show there. Well, right now we don't need splash top. Okay, so if we come back to the miscellaneous sandbox, right?
Yes.
And let's see what else we've got. Oh, yeah. Why casting numbers as string is sometimes not a good idea. Okay, so notice this. I've got some pretty simple JSON here. The only difference, N2 is a number, T2 is a string, right?
Yeah.
And here I'm going to make a list and I'm going to get both of them. They are visually indistinguishable.
Yes.
Okay. But if we come over here, and now I'm going to say, right, compare the number to a 10. Here's a 10. Compare that variable N2 and compare this variable T2 to 10, right?
Okay. Oh.
Okay. So what's going on there is that T2 is evaluating in text space.
Mm-hmm.
FileMaker said, oh, well, you gave me a string. Obviously, you want me to do the comparison in text space. And we know 2 is greater than 1, right? Because from a text standpoint, 10 starts with a 1, and it compared the 2 to the 1, and that's why it's saying it's greater.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so then but of course, we could always use get his number if we're not sure. We got
Mm-hmm.
something back from JSON, we didn't get to look at the source, or we're too busy. Just
Mm-hmm.
get his number, right? Force it to be a number.
Ah, so even if
Yeah.
it's cast as a string, you can force it into a number. Okay.
Yep. All right. Oh, this was kind of interesting, right? This was interesting for a simple reason. A lot of people don't know FileMaker has 2 replaces, right? One's a script step and the other's, or just a command, right? You can do command equals, right? It's a command,
Yeah.
right? But it's also a function, right? And so I got a request the other day. I thought, oh, goody, I get to use replace, right? So I don't know if you guys, but when these like once a year function requests come up, I jump on them. So okay,
Yes.
so first let's just look at the timestamp, right? Here's a timestamp.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're doing is we're building a notes log. So every time it clicks a button, it makes a new line at the top of a text field, right? And then puts him down on the next line so we can start typing notes. He doesn't want to see the seconds, right?
Okay.
So what we're doing here is we're simply saying, well, let's first show that it works. Okay. That's what he wants. He doesn't want to see any seconds.
Yeah. Okay.
Great. Let's generate the timestamp, and let's just go into replace. Now we already know what the length is, right? In fact, I'm going to go back and show it one more time. Okay. It's easy enough to calculate the length, right? It's not always the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
For various reasons, right? Month is
Yes.
1 or 2 digits. The day could be 1 or 2 digits over here too, right? Could be 1 or 2
Mm-hmm.
digits, right? So the length is not a given, but we can calculate the length. And what I do know is if I come backwards this way, that's at position 6. And that starting from there, I want to take out 3, right? And what do I want to replace those 3 with? Nothing, right? It's not a substitute. It's a search and destroy, right? So
Got it.
So what it's saying, right, is now that we've seen that, right, we can take it on faith that we want to get the length of it, whatever it is, and then go back 6 places and take out 3 and replace them with nothing.
Got it. So instead of starting from the right, sorry, instead of starting from the left, you're starting from the right. Okay.
Yep. Okay. So here's one again. This is not a long-winded code explanation, but by the way, here's our friend that makes the
The random number function strikes again.
And SFR is 6 fried rice, or random nums SFR, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's an arbitrarily long list of these colors with between 20 and 30 entries. Okay. So I just did it,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the first challenge. Okay, easily done, right?
Yes.
And so that's what I did here. Just iterated through with while. There's plenty of information about while out there on the internet, including a couple of articles on my blog about it. So then, now we've got some challenges based on that. So I took a slightly different version of that because, obviously each time I run it, it's going to be different. And I put this one out here. And what I can tell you, well, first off, let's do this, right? Find the last instance of blue from the challenge and change it to aqua. But we have to do this in stages. So step 1, count the matching entries, right? And here's one of those things that sometimes you can get away with and sometimes you can't. And I'll tell you why. Or maybe a lot of you already know. We're going to if we do pattern count blue, now notice I put a return in front of it and then there's a trailing return after it. That's what's going on. Oh, sorry, that's up here, right? I'm slightly transforming the input, right? And the reason I'm doing that is I want to then look and see if I can do this. This is not going to work, but it might look like it works, right? So I just told it, give me the pattern count of Pilcrow blue, or return blue return, right? And I guaranteed that even if it was the first entry, I would still be able to do that, right? Because I put a leading Pilcrow and I put a trailing Pilcrow. So does anyone know why that's wrong? Because I'll tell you the truth. it's not 6. There's 9, I think.
I mean,
Well,
I assume there's not a return before the first one.
no, but
But
I took care of that, right?
oh, right. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's the 9th. Okay.
Okay.
So the reason is when you do this, once pattern count has counted something, it's like money you've spent, and it will not double count. So when they are contiguous like that,
Oh,
it already counted the 1, right? It already counted the 1, so then it's not available to count again.
because
So
it's the
that's why I
same
got it
thing.
wrong.
Okay.
So why don't we look at something that will work? Okay. What if instead, so it's basically the same, but let's use filter values. And right, let's use filter values without value count, first of all. Right. Okay.
Ha! There you
See?
go.
Okay. So yeah, so that's not a good use of pattern count. But the thing is, it will work perfectly if you never have 2 blues in a row. Okay. All right. So then this was kind of interesting. Okay. Step 2, get the position of the last one. So my thinking is, okay, now we know there's 9. So
Okay.
I can use the position. I've just got the standard, prompts here. Now I can use position, right? And I can say, starting from the first character, find me the 9th instance and tell me what its position is. Okay. Now it happens to be at position 123. Okay. And that's true. There's nothing wrong with that, right? So now we can use the replace function, right? And we can say, hey, look in the input, go out to position 123 and take 4 places there, the 4 slots that you see there, and change it to aqua. And sure enough, it did it. There it is.
Ha!
Okay.
There you go.
We can't use substitute here, right? Because substitute paints with too broad a brush. Substitute isn't going to say, oh, you only wanted me to find the 9th occurrence? Sorry, Charlie. They're all aqua. So, right? But
Yes.
replace can do it. Okay. So now, oh, that's right. Okay. So then it turned out that we didn't need to do step 1.
No?
Does anyone know why? We could get the position without having to count it first. We can get that same 1, 2, 3 with this. I just have to put the right stuff here. People are frantically asking ChatGPT for the answer right now. Okay.
I've got a couple people typing. I need Jeopardy music.
Put in a larger number, a number that's way too big. So you go out into right field, if you will, right? Go out beyond the end, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so if you need to, make it even bigger. Just make it too big, right? Then put -1. Okay.
Okay.
What
Why
you
does
say in
this
that
work?
case is start out beyond the end and then find the negative first, and it will search from right to left.
No. Okay.
It's the only function I'm aware of that takes a negative argument. I mean, I've written some custom functions that do, but in terms of built-in, that takes
Yeah.
the negative argument and then processes backwards from right to left. Okay, so this was kind of fun, right?
Yes.
Oh, well, first let's just show it works, right? So there it is. So it was less work, right? Same replace as last time, but we used a different trick to get POS.
Got it.
activated.
Okay.
Okay. So then let's show the Chat GPT screenshot.
That'd be good.
Yes. So when I asked Chat GPT, because I was like thinking, oh, well, what I knew that there was a function that took a negative argument, but I don't use it very often, and I couldn't quite remember what it was. So I asked Chat GPT, and Chat GPT says, here's a consolidated list of all the functions that support negative arguments for right to left or from the end processing. Middle words, middle values. It's all BS. None of this is true. So then it said, at least they got this one right, right? These are not true. And by the way, Perplexity AI told me this one. Because I started out with Perplexity and I said, hey, there's some function where you can put a negative argument, start from right to left. What is it? It goes, oh, it's middle. They're wrong. Okay. So
Interesting. Like, isn't Perplexity supposed to give you citations too, or no?
yes, but they can give you the citation that's correct and then still, but they would send it up. So then it said, would you like me to include some ready-made calculation examples? And I didn't type it, but I was thinking to myself, no, thanks. Trust me, you've done enough already. Yeah, we're good. We're good here. But like so as an example, this middleware, if you were to throw this into the data viewer, right? What it would do, right, is it would when it gets a negative number, it just says, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to use one instead, and it would give you red. I did test these in the data viewer to make sure, but you can also read the help pages on Claris's help, and none of them talk about this. Okay, I'll always be very skeptical when you get your answers from AI.
Yes.
I've
Someone says,
seen,
I feel, oh, that's good. This has
yeah.
also been my experience with chat. Yes, Cora, we're validating your feelings. It spews nonsense regularly.
All right. Oh, this is kind of interesting. Someone wants a list of month abbreviations,
Oh,
Jan, Feb, Mar, right?
yeah.
So where can we get it from? Well, did you know about get system locale elements and its evil twin? No, it's beneficial twin, get file locale elements.
No.
Yeah, so this is built in, right? And it's system aware. So it knows I'm in the
Oh,
US, right? It knows I'm in the US. So there's, oh, and what's this? The list I was looking for, right?
so,
So I can come down here, right? And do that. And what did I do wrong? JSON get element, date, months. Figure out where to go. Really? How did I botch it? Get system locale elements. Date. Oh, date months was not what I needed. Hang on, let's see. Haha. Here we go. Let's try that again. Okay.
there you go.
Why did I
Nice.
use JSON list values? Because I wanted a list,
Oh,
right? If I'd have instead said JSON get element, and I don't need to spell it right, but I have OCD, so I will. I mean, I don't have to get the capitalization. There we go. Yeah, see, but I wanted a list, so I used JSON list values. By the way, JSON list values is the only values function that doesn't helpfully include a trailing return. So
yeah.
all the other functions like middle values, right? If it's plural, values with an S will give you a helpful trailing return, which can cause much frustration for those who aren't in the industry. So
That's a mental note to keep.
yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
it,
So JSON list values. Well, what's different about that? Oh, so here I took the example from the Claris website that shows what would happen if your file had the French formats,
mm-hmm.
and I asked the same question, but of course gave me back a different answer, right? Because in French,
There you go.
and I was interested to learn they don't always have 3 letters in their month abbreviations the way we do. So,
Yeah, that actually, and they put periods at the end of some, but not at
yeah,
the end of others,
on
which
some
is
of them.
interesting.
Oh well, my May doesn't need it because that's the full name, right?
Oh,
Then you go 4, so they're willing to go 4, but if it's more than 4, they're going to abbreviate.
interesting.
But oh, isn't that anything? Oh, right. They put the L there because otherwise JUI could be June or July, right?
Ha!
Notice here it's
Yes.
only 3. They didn't put Octo, whatever. Okay. Let's see.
Yeah,
One
if you
more.
change the region of your OS, will it show appropriately in system locale elements? I would assume so.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the whole point. When if you're, it figures out what it should be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unless you've overridden it in your file with, use system formats. So then the other thing was challenge. Figure out whether your local file uses this or this, right? That could be a
That'd be
big deal.
useful. Yes.
So for example, when I was working with an Australian developer and he wanted to, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay. Okay. So how do we do this? Well, there's another place in get system locale elements where we can ask that question. Okay. So it looked down inside of here and there it is, date order name. And it brought me back that. So, right. But if it was the French one, it would be DMY. So So what do we have left? 11 minutes.
I mean, you can also go a little bit over if you want to. I'm not gonna immediately shove you out the door. I'm
All
greatly
right, thank
entertained
you.
right now. So
Thank you. Okay. Well, I think there's a few other things. So while we're on the subject of sort of
dates.
doing date searches that might be this is, you can tell looking at it, this is an old demo, right?
Hmm.
And I can't remember. This is probably from like 2011 or 2012. At any rate, if you're trying to search on birthdays, right, you might or might not have a challenge, right? It's one thing if you're trying to do it in the US, right? So
Hmm.
in the US, it's pretty straightforward, right? I want to find people who are 9 asterisk asterisk, right?
Yeah.
There they are, regardless of year and regardless of day, right? I'm just looking for September birthdays,
Yep.
right? But what if, let's see. Oh yeah, there's several things we can talk about in here, right? Since we were talking about the international stuff, I think I'll do this first, right?
Hmm.
Okay. So one of the things I could do, right, in case like, because let's pretend that I wanted to write code that would work also in Australia.
Yes.
Okay. So I come over here and I say this. Okay, let's do this, right? Figure out the date type that we already did that, right? So
Hmm.
it's DMY or MDY, right? Okay, so now I'm going to pop into find mode. If it's MDY, search that. Otherwise, search this, right? Because the M would be in the middle, right? It'd be DMY. That makes sense,
Oh,
right?
okay. Yeah.
Okay. So, but it turns out there's another way to do this, and that's version 2. And this is going to look very strange if you haven't seen this. Okay. I was not on any psychedelic drug when I wrote this demo.
What?
Sorry to disappoint you.
What is this? What am I looking at?
Okay, we're just going to go into find mode. This is a Japanese style date. It's a lot like an SQL style date, right?
Okay.
ISO 8601, but it uses pluses instead of hyphens.
Okay.
And it turns out if I push that, right, because that's always got the M in the middle, see?
Uh-huh.
So if I push that, right, using pluses, point, I purposely didn't do the perform find on here, so we're going to go into find mode. I'm going to let the script finish running, but notice what I'm pushing is that.
Yes.
And notice what it interpreted.
What?
Yes. So if I were in Australia, that would have the 9 in the middle section.
Okay. Okay. So you're telling me that if I put it into a Japanese date format, it'll automatically localize to other versions?
Yes, and you can do set field with that, which means if you've got stuff coming back from, say, SQL or from maybe you're querying some APIs JSON and it's returning dates to you in SQL format, just
Mm-hmm.
substitute on it, switch the hyphens to pluses, and you can push that right into FileMaker. Here's another thing, just to show the difference. Let's say we've got a SQL date, right?
Uh-huh.
So let SQL date equal, okay, 20250911, right?
Yep.
Okay, that looks to me like an SQL date, right? And I don't have evaluate automatically checked here, so people can think about the answer, right? Is this going to work?
And then I think so. I don't know. No,
Yeah.
it's mad.
But what if I ran a substitute on there and changed those to pluses? Is that going to work? Heck yeah. Okay. So FileMaker understands this plus notation, right? But you can do a simple substitute on your SQL dates and get them back. I've got some other stuff going on in this file that's kind of interesting. So this demo can be downloaded for the full effect of what it can do, but I'm also playing with it in the meantime. And so if I turn on the script debugger and I say, get the most recent date of birth, right? Okay. And actually, I don't even need the debugger for this because I'm going to show it in a dialog, right? So I just said execute SQL, get the max date of birth, right? Well, here we
Mm-hmm.
go. Returned it, right? It returned it as a SQL style date, as we would expect, because we used execute SQL to get it.
Yes.
Right? What if instead I prepend apostrophe or what, single quote, pipe, okay? And my date of birth.
Okay.
So when you can trick SQL into returning something that makes sense for us, FileMaker developers, with that trick. There's only one gotcha.
Okay.
It may look like a date, but it's actually a text string.
Oh.
But at that point, right, you could wrap. So check it out. Is the most recent date of birth, we saw that was 1986, right?
Yes.
Is the most recent date of birth greater than or equal to 12/31/1999? Don't believe me? FileMaker just proved it. No, so okay, so this is what the trick is doing, right? I said it, I correctly formatted it, and it returned it as a text string, right?
Okay.
So
Yes.
then I properly made a date using the date function, right? And whenever you use the date function, it's always month, day, year. There's never any ambiguity about that. So I constructed a date that I knew absolutely FileMaker would consider to be a date, right? But I passed it this text string, and FileMaker said, "Oh, you're doing a comparison with a text string. I'm going to interpret this in text space," right? And that's why that did that, right? So
Yes.
so if we instead do it this way. Wait, hang on a sec. I grabbed the wrong one. Wrong script. That's because I thought I was going to go top to bottom. This is the one I meant to do.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the difference? It's probably just get his date, right?
I would assume that you're somehow resetting the text string back into an actual.
Yeah, I'm wrapping it and get his date.
Yeah. Okay.
So then it evaluated it in date space. Right?
There you go.
Date space. Yeah, that would be a good name for a website.
I'm sure someone has had that thought before.
How did it hurt now? Okay. So I see that we're running low on time. Let me just pull out a couple things that I think are pretty cool. Well, I think I'm trying to think of a it was one of those things where I thought that'll be really cool. I can't wait to show them that. Yeah, let's talk about this. Bypassing auto enter calcs. Okay. All right. When we have auto enter calcs, sometimes as developers, we want to sort of backfill data without having the modification timestamp or any other auto enter calcs kick in. Like for instance, you probably don't want today's sales tax rate to kick in on invoices that are from years ago.
Oh, yeah, that wouldn't make any sense. Yeah.
Right. It already looked it up 5 years ago when they made the invoice and it stored it, right?
So you don't want it to re-trigger if you update. Yeah. Okay.
Right. So import, we've always had that checkbox on import, right?
Yes.
Do not perform auto, and we're used to that. Okay. The data API has a flag you can set to not do it. Okay.
Okay.
About set field can do it if you disable auto enter calcs in open transaction.
You can do that?
Yeah, but I'm just going to talk about some more because we're running short on time, right?
Yes.
You can temporarily define the field as a stored calculation, then change it back to a regular text or number field or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's a way to backfill also. Like recently, I had a thing where people were doing credit card statements, but then all of a sudden they had multiple credit card processors, which they've never had in 10 years.
Oh.
So all of a sudden I had to backfill all the existing ones with the ID of the old processor.
Oh.
And given the original processor the very creative ID of 1, right? So I just defined a calculated field, ID processor 1. Let it, and as a stored, let it be stored. Then I changed it back to just a regular number field because in the future we might be putting a 2 in there, right? For the new processor.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Scripted replace and only scripted replace, not a regular replace in 22 or higher has a checkbox that will allow you to ignore auto enter calcs. But I have to warn you, at the moment, I found it works great if you have 499 or less, but if you get to 500 or more, it stops doing what it's supposed to do.
Ooh, okay.
Having said that, I'm sure that will be fixed very soon.
Yes.
So by the time you're seeing this on YouTube, it should be fixed.
Yes.
Actually, I'm not making promises for Claris. I'm just making a very uneducated guess. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll get on top of it.
Set field with AEC. Let's talk about that. Oh, what cannot bypass AEC? Normal set field. OData doesn't have a way to do it. FQL, right? If you're using a SQL plugin, right? So that you can do creating or updating via SQL. You can't do that with native execute SQL, but what you can with some of the plugins, including the free Base Elements plugin or the MBS plugin. There's any number of plugins out there that can do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if via open transaction you've disabled auto enter calcs, this will still trigger them. It sort of does not play by the rules of transactions, right? But again, it's not a native feature, right? It's something you get with a plugin.
Mm-hmm.
Just mentioning that. Okay, so if we go to FM22 auto enter bypass, right? By the way, when I made this file, I had another one that was just called auto enter bypass, and so I just cloned it. I just copied it and then renamed it. Okay, so then here's where this gets clever, right? I thought, well, I might be trashing my vendor, so I think I'll reach into vendor backup. I made just a shadow. I made a copy
Mm-hmm.
so that I could restore it after I trash things, right?
Yes.
So it's just got a one-to-one correspondence, right? Same ID numbers. I should be able to really easily, they might not be in the same order though. Yeah, this one's sorted. Okay, so anyway, they're not in the same order, but so after I did that and I wrote the script, check this out, right? I had written the script when the file had the old name. I did not use our developer tools that they give us under tools menu to rename the file. I just
Ooh.
really renamed it. And so when I did that, right, it kept the reference to the old file.
No.
Right, it's not psychic. When you rename a file, you manually, it doesn't go. So the weirdest thing is I hadn't thrown away that file yet. It's still
Mm-hmm.
there. So that means it would work. And I wouldn't even know that I broke it until I separated this file from this file or renamed this file. So that's a big gotcha that's hanging out there. Okay. So I thought I'd mention it. So then let's do this thing, right? We've got this thing called demo, and it's got a modification timestamp from last night.
Mm-hmm.
And I come in here and I say, create these records, right? How many records do I want to create? I think I'll create 1,500.
Works for me.
And by the way, I intentionally had that mess up.
Oh.
It only made 2 records. When you have a loop
Yes.
that bails prematurely on 2, when you expected a lot more, it's that same problem we've already seen. Okay, I made a dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
That dialogue, instead of an input field, right? I said, just put it in this variable. We don't need to waste a field on this. Right? And it said, okay, fine. Of course, everything in a variable is text unless you've explicitly typed it otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So let's instead run version 2. And it says, and now I'm sitting here, and sitting here, and sitting here, sitting here, right? Okay, 2:02 and 5 seconds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the only difference is that here in version 2, I absed it, right? I could have
Oh.
said, the other reason I absed it is if I had been foolish enough to type negative 1,500, abs would pass it, right? Abs takes, I don't care if you're positive or negative, you're going to be positive because it's the absolute value.
Yes.
So that's what I did there, right? Okay.
Makes sense.
Yes, that was not a reference to the rippling musculature of my okay, and don't worry, we're going to leave that assertion unproven. Okay. So here we are, right? Okay, so there we go, right? We made 1,500 records, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say, notice the time 2:05, right?
Yes.
Actually, you know what? Since we're short on time, I'm going to jump over to this one because I've got a little bit more to show here. All right, I'm going to come over here and on vendor, right? I'm going to say, notice 9.8 was the timestamp. That's the timestamp, right? And if I say import skip AEC, right? It's going to come in here, right? That's just a standard behavior with import. I told it to skip the AEC.
Yep.
Right. So let's clear it, but let's do it inside a transaction. Well, first let's just show that it works. Okay. I'm going to clear it and it's not going to update the AEC. Okay. And the reason it didn't update the AEC, well, actually here, let me turn on the script debugger. Sorry, changing my mind. Script, update the code, replace within the transaction, skip the AEC. Okay, so open the transaction and there's a checkbox in there that says skip auto enter options.
Oh, okay.
when I get to that, yeah. So I can do set field in here. I can do whatever I want, right?
And it'll automatically dodge auto enter because it's within a transaction.
It's in a transaction with that box checked,
Yes.
right?
Okay.
So I can run that replace, and that replace will work regardless of record count. The replace that had a problem, right, was the one where I didn't use a transaction,
Mm-hmm.
and sorry, it's silly to talk about it when I can instead show it, right? Here we are in a replace dialog.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to jump over here. And when I come down here, by default, that's turned on because that always used to work.
Yes.
But if I uncheck that and click OK, it's going to say skip auto enter options, right? And that will work that in theory, it should always work. At the moment, that's going to work with 499 or less records. So since I've asserted it several times, I think I should show it. But yeah, so I'm using open transaction a lot now to skip when I want to backfill data. Yeah. So don't save that. Okay. So as an example, I'm going to do a set field on this and change this name without updating that.
Okay.
Vendor, reverse name, set field within transaction, skip AEC. So it didn't update, right? And what's nice about reversing it, right, is I can do it again. Now it's back the way it was. Right? Okay, final demo, and then we're done, right? I'm going to come over here, and this time I'm going to create the records. I'm going to create 499 records. Okay, so notice the timestamp ends with the 43, right? And I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to say, well, let's look. So that checkbox I showed you, right?
Yes.
I'm going to skip it. Notice it didn't update the timestamp. Okay?
That's really cool.
Let's add one more record. Okay. Now we've got 500.
Yep.
Script. Oh, the timestamp updated.
Dang.
So at the moment, that feature, I would say just use open transaction and don't use that feature. I'm sure they'll fix it and then it'll be usable. By the way, it's only in a script. So when I do it here, I don't have that checkbox.
Oh, okay. So you have to find that deep within like the actual scripting checkbox. Okay.
Yeah. So that's so you get a different checkbox. See, it says skip auto enter options. It's only when it's a script. Right? We don't get that checkbox, which is kind of weird, right? Because I mean, I understand they probably don't want to risk putting that power into an end user's hands. Although you wouldn't let an end user perform a replace under any circumstances. But the time, you probably don't need this very often. So putting it in a script means I have to write a script to do something I'm going to do once, right? A lot of times if you're backfilling or using this feature, you probably aren't routinely updating your system and intentionally bypassing your modification timestamp. It's more like a one-off thing. Can I show one more? Because it's really cool.
Yes, okay. Absolutely.
This is my final thing. Okay, we'll save the rest for some other time. So have you ever seen something like this? Have you ever had a request like this? Hey, we need to produce this release form, right?
Yeah.
The lawyers have given us this text up here. Show the lawyer's text, and then we want the rest of the form to be like this so that we can pass it around and have people sign it.
Okay.
Seems like a pretty simple request, right?
Yeah.
Except the lawyers might want to put more or less text in.
Oh, right? So the length of the text can vary even if the amount of signatures. Yeah, okay.
Right. So no matter how many we do, we want it to do. So where it gets to be a problem is headers don't shrink. Okay. So we go into layout mode. I've got this release text. This is on the one that doesn't work.
Yeah.
I've got a header here.
Yes.
You can take my word for this. If we took the trouble to go look in the inspector, we would see that, yes, I told it to shrink everything up, but headers don't shrink.
Yeah, I've run into this before. It sucks.
So what did I do instead to make it work? Because this one works. I'm not going to show it for a sec, right? Just show it again. There it is, right?
Yeah.
No, if I put the full amount of text in, then it's all legalese, but at the bottom we still have a few.
Huh.
The trick turns out to be dead simple, okay? So if we go over to that layout, and as I say, this is the final thing of the day, right? And we go into layout mode, we're going to see that we've got this thing that looked like a header, except it's not a header.
You made
It's
it a
sub
summary?
and I sorted it on a constant field. So it's just basically it's only going to show once, right? Because the constant is always one for every record.
Wait, okay. Would this work for footers, out of curiosity?
You could do the same with a trailing. Well, not a footer on every page, right? But
Yeah.
no, in that case, I'd be going with virtual list or something. I wouldn't bother. This is virtual list, but doesn't have to be. If you're talking about playing around like that, right? Because we have a title header and a title footer, but when we need customization on a per footer basis, I think that's more likely. Well, there's so many ways to do it, right? You might make a variable with a different rep per page, and then tell the footer to display the appropriate, page number. You have to be in preview mode for it to figure out the page number. No, we can do that now with, well, I don't want to go down that route.
Sorry, I didn't mean to completely derail you.
No, I'm done. So I'm not going to speculate on things I'm not sure of.
Yes, that makes perfect sense.
Okay.
That's really cool, though. That's super cool. That's a nifty trick.
I thought it was a pretty good one. So yeah, so I think we're at a good stopping point.
I know. Can I kidnap you for October?
No, but you could for November.
Okay. I'm going to make a point to kidnap you for November because I'd love to see. I know that you have endless files left to show us. We've only gone through a very small portion, so.
That's true. We do have some other things to look at. So cool. Okay, I'll stop sharing.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Seriously, today was awesome. I learned tons of new little tricks that would be super useful for a variety of little issues and problems you run into naturally as a FileMaker developer. So thank you for making our lives easier.
Thank you for having me. It's been a blast, and the time just flew by. So I'm looking forward to do it again in 2 months. Oh, I'm going to be at the full access. One of the reasons I can't do October, I'm presenting at full access in October. I'll hope to see you there, Margaret.
I should hopefully be there. Richard's definitely going. I'm going to. I mean, it's down Los Osos. It's a very short drive, so I'll swoop by and say hi, so we can talk about.
You can get a day pass. You can get a day pass. You don't have to, or you don't have to stay there.
Ooh, that'd be nice. Okay, I might do that.
All right.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming. Thank you, everybody.
Take
We
care.
will see you later. Bye-bye.